UK time, 1 p.m. EST, and I believe it's 10:30 p.m. IST for all those in Asia and India and so on. So this is the episode, and it's a live episode of the Harry Singha Foundation Empowering Youth Show. And today we have a super special guest. I'm going to give you an introduction. If you know him, you might think you don't need an introduction, but trust me, a day goes by and there's something else on this guy's bio. So let me introduce you straight away to those who are just tuning in. And we are live across YouTube, Facebook. So if you want to put any comments in, questions, we'll get the questions later, but we'll see all your comments. So without further ado, let me introduce you who we have today. We have the amazing, inspirational Slingshot. Right? He's a singer, songwriter, rapper, speaker, philanthropist. The list goes on and on and on. But I'm going to give you the highlights. I'm going to give you the tip of the iceberg of the achievements, because there are so many that people aren't aware of. But let me give you one of the first labels that he achieved, or an award if you want to call it that. And that was this: the moment he was born, he was given this label. He was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bone disease, for those that are not really sure what that is. But that label, he was crushing that label from the day he was born. Why? This is who he is now. This is the achievements that he's got. He was labeled, he'd already got this label of being in the top 10 list of child prodigies. And you know what prodigy means? Someone is like up and coming. He's already made it. Let's put it that way. Here's why. TEDx. Some of you have aspirations to speak on TEDx Gateway. Not only has he already spoken on TEDx Gateway, he's done it 3 times. 3 times. Let that sink in for you. On top of that, he has delivered over 200, I think it's like 250 now, since all the lockdown and everything else, 250 plus live performances across 9 countries. 250 plus live performances across 9 countries. And on top of that, he has won multiple awards in music and philanthropy. And even off the top of my head, I remember you on social media and the views that this young man gets, who's 18 years old now. 18 years old in such a short space of time. I believe he's had over 200 million views. And not only that, the views have come from across the world, over 180 countries. 180 countries, right? So let me tell you what more about this guy. He does so many events and performances pro bono, with the added incentive of raising funds for so many not-for-profit organizations. And I'm sure this figure's even higher now, but from last count, I recall we raised over $1.2 million for worthy causes that are dear to his heart. And we're going to be talking about some of those very soon. And then when it comes to TV shows, I remember years ago he had a vision and a mission of performing and singing to 1 billion people. That was like his goal, that was his mission. Not only did he achieve it, he's been on untold shows, so many shows. And he reached that. He got to perform to over 1 billion people, but not once, he's done it twice. So this is the amazing star that's coming in. Last but not least, he's also loved by everybody at the Harry Singha Foundation. He's a resident speaker there at our Youth Leadership Summits. And what is his mission? What is his life about? His life is to inspire, and it's the word sparsh. It says and sparsh, which means touch everyone's hearts around the world. And he's doing it. He's doing it. And today, live right now with you guys, he's going to do the same. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Sparsh, welcome to the Empowering You Show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harry. I am so blessed and grateful to be here on the Empowering Youth Show with you, and to see everybody here, you know, from all over the world, and YouTube and Facebook, coming to see the show. It's absolutely amazing. What a privilege to be here with the amazing Mr. Harry. It couldn't have been done better, you know? Like, I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Beautiful. And you know what? We talked just before coming on, and the one thing about us, when it comes to service. And we both said, right, let's go and add value. Everything that we've done before has brought us to this moment. And I've given people a little bit of a highlight there of who is Sparsh and what have. But you know what? Let's hear it from you. Give them the flavour of what Sparsh has been through, the journey that's got you to achieve all those accolades. And then what we'll do is we'll discuss some of the things that you're doing, the singing, the speaking, the philanthropy. So give everybody, for maybe those that, out of the billions that have already seen you, there will still be others that haven't. Let's give them a story straight from your mouth.
Absolutely. The first label, as you had said, that I was given was osteogenesis imperfecta. And it came from the very onset of my birth. I mean, osteogenesis imperfecta is a rare, incurable genetic disorder, and it makes my bones and connective tissue very fragile. And so I came out of my mother's womb with 40 fractures throughout my body. Like hands, legs, ribs, I pretty much broke everything. My condition was so bad that the doctors gave the prognosis that I would only live for 2 days. And it was, my mom and dad were first generation immigrants to America from India. And you know how that story goes. They had very few family members, if at all, and no friends, only a few $100s in their pocket. And all of a sudden, their first child is born like this. And they were at a crossroads in their life, thinking, oh my God, what was going on? Why is this happening to us? And something interesting happened. The doctors on my second day of life came to my parents and they gave this permission slip that if my parents did sign, would authorize them to take off my life support if my condition worsened. And basically, it got to the point where on my second day of life, they were already discussing my cremation. And my mom and dad were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. All this has happened, like, we need to think about this. And so my mom came to visit me in the hospital because when I was born, I was shifted to another hospital 20 miles away, 32 kilometers away from the hospital I was born in. My mom was still sedated from the whole labor process. And, she didn't even see me waking up. Imagine that. A first-time mother doesn't see her baby waking up. And so she rushes over to find me. And she sees me in this, tiny little cot, breathing, barely able to breathe, because even my ribs are broken, nothing moving, but my eyes were alive. And I looked at her, and I just kept following her. She kept following me around the crib, and my eyes were just like that. And my mom felt this magneticism in my eyes. And then she felt something miraculous happen. She said my eyes spoke through me. And, she said that my eyes told her this: Mom, don't worry about me. I came into this world to do something big, to change this world. And that made her realize I'm not dying. This is not the end. God is not done with me and not done with my family. And that's when my mom was like, oh my God, this kid is something, we got to do everything we can to raise this kid and to help him through this, what's going to be a pretty difficult journey in life. So, I was in the ICU for the neonatal ICU for 3 years, and then, 3 months. 3 months. And then I was in I got shifted to a regular hospital for another 3 months. So 6 months of my life I was in the hospital, recovering from my fractures and in rehab. And then my doctors came to my parents and said, you guys are first-time parents. We're not really sure. We don't want you to have to face all the difficulties that will come with, raising such a child. And so they were basically bringing up institutionalization for me. They wanted to raise me in an institution because they felt that was in my best interest. But my mom and dad were like, no, of course not. This is our son. We want to raise him. We want to give him everything we know, even if it takes us the rest of our lives figuring out how to raise this different kid. We want to raise him. And we want to give him a normal life as much as possible. We want to show him that, you know what? No, there are no limits in life. And that's what they set out to do. My whole life, my mom and dad, that's the one thing that they've always taught me is never ever think that you have limits. The only limits that are really existent are in your mind.
And the doctors, Sparsh, gave you a prognosis for your life on how long you were supposed to last, right? So please share that.
Yeah, 2 days. Like I said, in the second day of my life, they gave that permission slip, and they were already talking about my cremation. So, 2 days to, by the grace of God, 18 years. I cannot believe it. But yeah, I've gone. You could say I've gone through a lot. Yeah, 140 fractures, a lot of surgeries, 8 rods, and 22 screws, literally in my body as I speak. But I take those rods and screws as my badges of honor. And I take those 140 fractures as marks of humility. Because honestly, I've come to realize, especially lately, I used to tell people that, okay, God took away my ability to walk, but He gave me a voice as one door closes, another door opens. But I think honestly, I've done more reflection on it now, and I've realized, you know what? God never closed the door by giving me the body I have. He just made a window instead of a door. And I didn't realize it until now, and I was just like, you know what? Maybe when God was making me, maybe He said something like, look, He doesn't need to have a strong body in order to do everything that He's done. To fulfill the mission that I've given Him, He doesn't need the body that other people have. He doesn't need this strength or that strength. Maybe I personally think that, I was born this way because it was God's way of proving to the world that the people who look the weakest, who seem the weakest, are actually the strongest. Because the weakest people in life are the ones who have realized earlier than everyone else that there really are no limits. The only ones that exist are in your mind.
Well, let's go there, Sparsh, because it's the Empowering Youth Show. So these are for young people who, are in at a time where they need empowering, but also it's for people who love young people and are actively empowering young people, giving them their power. And there are many young people that will go through suffering and pain. And there's a lot of lessons that you've learned that we'll unpick and we'll share. And it's, your journey all the way from, I think we connected when you was about 11, 12 years old. And I remember, you had that I can do spirit. You had this, and I remember you, wherever you were going, we were working on you and helping you with speeches, but I would suddenly get friends requests from senior general practitioners or consultants, medical people. I was like thinking, who is this? And it was basically where you were traveling. You would be amazing and inspiring the consultants that were working with you, and you'd be telling them stuff, and suddenly these people were like, it was just everywhere you went, every bone you broke, it was as if it was another gift for you to connect with someone. And there are people that won't have the same challenges that you've had, but they have the similar feeling and the responses. So let's get into that a bit, Sparsh. So, for other people that are listening who, for them, just the loss of their pet or their someone in their family, or they look different, or everything that you said, because I really want to get to that core thing you had. It was not about disability, it was about different ability. So please go there, Sparsh. Let's really help other people that are listening right now.
I think for everyone who is going through a situation like that, the only thing I would say is that, first of all, we need to know our worth, right? Without knowing our worth, who we are, we cannot find our purpose and we cannot find our passion the way we are going to fulfill our purpose. So I think we have to realize that, I believe, all of us are the children of God. We are made in His image and we're made beautiful. We may look different, and, society can be very messed up sometimes. A lot of times society has great intentions when it sets values and norms, but then every norm sometimes is a double-edged sword, because when it's improperly perceived, then, discrimination happens and belittlement happens. And, the destruction of self-esteem and self-worth happens. I feel like just because you look different, just because you may act different, just because you may do something different, that doesn't mean that that does not make you less. That does not make you less special. It's funny because I'd listened to a TikTok once, and this person was outside, and they were saying that they were looking at this whole world, look at all the trees, all the birds, and the beautiful, like, just all of nature. And you think about that. If God made the universe, the fact that He made you, that says something. Like, He made all this, He made this entire universe, and then He also felt the desire to make one of you. That says something about who we are. Like, it blows my mind to think of that. So, knowing your worth, who you are, like, once you realize that you were created special, then you realize that you also have a special purpose, right? And so then you find your purpose. What are you destined to do in this world? And I think one of the ways that, I think there are some common threads, right, that we all have. I think we all have in what our purpose is. I think we all are called to serve other people in whatever capacity we can. Leave this world better than we found it. I think we're all called to love each other, right? Service being the main way of love, but, like, giving our love to people in every way, whether it be our time, our money, our voice, just even comfort. Going up to a friend one day who may be feeling low and saying, "Hey, I feel you, I understand you, I want to help, I have a heart of compassion," right? Having that, all these things, those are some common threads, but, how are we going to fulfill that purpose? That's where you find your passion, right? If you were made special, then you have a special purpose. And you also have a special passion. That's your special way of fulfilling that special purpose. My favorite rapper, his name is Mr. David. His stage name is D1. He has this beautiful philosophy of, he took the story of David and Goliath, and he said that, what? We all have Goliaths in our lives. We all have obstacles, whether any sort of, oppression, racism, sexism, disability, quote unquote, poverty, all these different things, right? We all have obstacles, social pressure, right? Discrimination, all of this. But we all have our slingshots, right? God gave us all slingshots. And even in the story of David, Saul gives him, like, a sword and a shield. And David's like, "Yo, I can't take this. It's too heavy for me." And so he goes and gets some 5 stones instead, because he knows he can work well with those. He used a slingshot before, so he knows that's his perfect weapon. We have our perfect weapons. We don't have to take up a sword and shield all the time if it doesn't work. We can just go pick up a few rocks and go fight the obstacles in our lives. What's your slingshot? That's what we have to know.
And
what is our slingshot?
That's so beautiful. And it's like, for those of us that have experienced adversity or even seen others experience it, it's about looking for the slingshot in there. It's, Sparsh, same with, like, with me, when everything that I experienced as a child, domestic violence, being homeless at 15, all of these things, whilst all that was happening, I was constantly helping other people. But helping other people because I needed to, otherwise I wouldn't feel much. And then as I grew wiser, I realized serving and helping other people is what saved my life. Because while I was helping other people, I wasn't focusing on myself and wasn't going inside. And being able to then get to a place where you can then find your voice, what you call find your slingshot. And you did that. You found your slingshot, and it literally was through your voice. And so I just want you to share a little bit from your own journey. It's like, I mean, you were singing like guzzles and things like that as a small child. Let everybody. When did you start to go, right? Oh, this is music, and this is singing, and this is my different ability. How did that feel for you? When did you get to that realization?
Yeah, amazing question. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I always tell people that like my relationship to music is like, two childhood friends who grew up together. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I've always known music. I've been singing since like I could speak. Before I was singing, I used to be humming. Like, my mom and dad would play music all the time in the car. And I started picking up on that. Somehow, I feel like God did give me the gift of very keen perception of music. And, I started listening to them when I started singing, and my parents would be singing too. Eventually, it got to the point where I was able to correct them. I was like, Mom, you're not singing this right. You have to sing it this way. And my mom and dad were like, wait a minute. Whoa, this kid has something. And that's when they realized it before I did, right? I was very young, but they were like, I think music was the way that I was going to change the world, that I was going to do something big. And so they put me into North Indian classical music classes at the age of 6, and I've been learning that for 12 years now. And I also started performing when I was 7, small stages and stuff, but I started, when I started seeing, performing, I started seeing that, other people were resonating with the music, but they were also resonating with me as a performer. And I instantly started realizing, you know what? This is something that's so comfortable for me. I could say literally that I was made for the stage. Like, it just always came to me naturally to be able to sing or speak in front of a group of people. And so that, and then as I grew older, people started telling me that, saying that, my story and my music had this inspirational aura about it, that, I was able to inspire people to transform their lives and do something different about their lives. And so I started realizing that music really has this transformative power. Now, when I was younger, I wanted to be a paleontologist because I loved prehistoric animals. But when I grew older and I started doing that, and I started songwriting when I was 10, that's another big thing. Because any artist can sing, and you can sing another person's song. But the reason I started writing songs because I realized that there were feelings inside of me, there were experiences inside of me. I needed to tell my unique story through music. Because nobody else did. I looked through the whole, I looked everywhere to hear if my story was being told. And it wasn't being told. So I was like, I understood. This is why people write in the first place. So I started writing songs. And so that showed me that, I could be very unique. And I could show people, a part of my personality, a part of my story through music. And so performing and songwriting really helped me find my voice as an artist. And then came the big break, was Not Afraid, with Eminem. And that was super huge. Basically, long story short, celebrities from Salman Khanji to Mr. Jay Sean to Chris Brown, everyone, they shouted me out. So far, it's gotten over 80 million views across all social media from about 185 countries or something like that. And it really did pave the next stage for my career. Now, like you said, 250 live performances at some of Earth's greatest venues. Madison Square Garden, I've done 7 times. Radio City Music Hall twice. Prudential Center twice. The NRG Stadium, which was my largest live performance, 50,000 people in the stadium. And that was the Howdy Modi event. So 2 billion people watched on TV and the internet. that was the fulfillment of my TEDx Gateway dream to sing in front of 1 billion people. The second fulfillment. The first one was the KBC one, which you see back here, or sorry, back there. Yeah, so all these different things. Yeah, it just it went up from there.
This is the bit I want to get to, where when I say about finding your voice, it's about finding your energy. And the crazy thing is how we then communicate that to people is you've got to find your own energy, your own vibration, and then you've got to sing your own song in your own special way. And you did that from music and songwriting, and then you transitioned into how can I impact people's lives? So you do it already with singing, and then you started to build in more transformational messages. And I think one of the highlights when I was connected, when you did the We event in, I think it was in Canada. So share a little bit about the message you had there, because those messages were really powerful when you diss your disability, all of those. So share a little bit about the messages you gave there, because I knew that so many people were impacted from that. As well as your singing and performing, it was now about your message as well. So you share a little bit on that.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought up the We Day event. Yeah, it was actually, it was in the Barclays Stadium in New York a few years ago. So that event was, I mean, it was amazing. All the youth there in the stadium, the energy was absolutely amazing. Yeah, my message was simply that, you know, my disability does not make me any less than other people, right? My disability does not define me, and disabilities are not definitions. The medical condition that I have is not something that, you know, it is a part of my identity, definitely. It shaped me, it formed me into who I am today. The experiences I have because of it are the reason why I am the person I am today, definitely. But it's not like the be-all and end-all measurement and standard of my identity, right? I said my message was, I define myself through the terms I give myself, right? I choose to define myself not by, you know, my pain, not by my adversity, but my purpose, my ambition. My purpose is greater than my pain. My ambition is stronger than my adversity. And I choose to define myself by who I am called to be, not who people see me as. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that was my message at UN, and I'm glad you brought up, you know, everything with speaking, because yeah, ultimately I've always been a chatterbox. That's another thing. So I not only like to sing to people, I also like to talk to people. You can probably see it right now.
100%. But
so
what I want to do is we're gonna talk a little. We'll get back to some of your core messages that we can share with young people, but you and I cannot speak without, you know, acknowledging your family. When you say you're a chatterbox, I mean, my team, I've brought people. We've been blessed to break bread with your family at home, and it's, you know, what's the role that your family played? Because, you know, you say you're a chatterbox. I remember when your younger brother and so on, it was like he would outdo you. But the love you have for your younger brother, Sparsh, it was it's a beautiful thing to see. And, you know, your mother and father, you know, I bow down to them with their humility and what they've done for you to create that environment. So maybe you share a little bit about, you know, your brother and your mother and father and how that's played that part for you as well.
Absolutely, yeah. By the way, if it's okay, would you be cool with muting on your end? Because I'm seeing the comments right now. I've noticed a couple people are saying that we're echoing. So that way, I'll mute myself when you speak, and you can mute yourself when you speak, and that way we'll just, you know.
Carry on. You'll be good. You'll be good.
Awesome.
Put this in. Go for it.
All right. So
yeah, I mean, without my family, who would I be? Like, honestly, they taught me all my values. They taught me to never, you know, again, never hold yourself to any limits, right? Always to keep pushing past them. And really, you know, always to never let go of your work, never let go of your passion. And it's not just about passion, it's also about perseverance, right? And in the words of Angela Duckworth, you need both of them to create grit. And that's really what defines successfulness, I feel like, right? We could have, you can know your worth, you can know your purpose, you can know your passion, but then if you don't have dedication and you don't act on your passion, then what's the point of your existence? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if we're not gonna make our lives useful, if we're not gonna act on them, then yeah. So I mean, without them, like, you know, I would not be here. Like, there's a beautiful quote I heard once. Family are your given friends, and friends are your chosen family.
wow,
And so, I have friends in my family, like, you know what I mean? And especially with my little brother, like, everything, with, yeah, I mean, he's just an angel. He's the reason that, I believe sometimes angels take on flesh. You know what I mean? And I may be speaking metaphorically, but like, he is the greatest gift that I've ever received, honestly. Um, all this, he's the one really who reminds me that no matter how busy I am, no matter how much responsibility I have, sometimes I just gotta wind down. I have to just step back from everything I'm doing and just like chill. And I have to reprioritize. I have to make time for fun. And I have to make time to still be young and to still be, a kid. Like,
correct.
everything that I mean, yeah, he taught me the true meaning of balance in my life. And, my parents taught me the true meaning of limitlessness. They taught me the true meaning of positivity. I just have learned so much from them.
Yeah.
I can't say much more. I can never repay them for that.
And I wanted people to hear that straight from you, feel that from your heart. It's, I know the gratitude you have for them, but it's, you're constantly looking for the greatness in everybody, and you have that humility. And so now let's, before we just, I want to get into like what you're doing now, what you're, what's really, really highlighting for you. But even before we do that, it's, if you had some core message, some core tool for young people that are watching right now, or people that work with young people, what would be, of all the many messages you've had, what would be one or two of the main messages that you want to share with them? And then we'll give everybody an exclusive really soon. So go for it.
Yeah. I think besides the one that I'd already said, right? Like, having those 4 steps to living successfully, right? Knowing your worth, knowing your purpose, knowing your passion, how you're going to fulfill that purpose, and then knowing, acting on that passion, right? To fulfill your purpose, to live a life that's worthy of the gifts that you've been given. That's the first thing I would just say to everybody. The second thing, I think the real tool, honestly, that I feel like we all would need, and something that's really helped me before, but that I know I definitely need to use now, is like creating schedules and actually planning out your success. Because without a plan, we cannot, we just cannot, achieve success. It just doesn't work. It's a law. And I mean, that's another thing too, right? Is we can't make plans that are totally fixed either. Sometimes I end up doing that and it fails me. And there's this really amazing quote that I heard from the Netflix series Flash. There's a character called Leonard Snart. His superhero name, or his villain name, is Captain Cold. And he says there are 4 rules you need to remember: make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
Yeah.
But of course, you don't throw away the plan in real life. You just revise it and re-execute it. So the way that I have learned to plan is creating like 2 different schedules. And whatever one you make first, it doesn't matter. But the 2 schedules are like a daily schedule and a project schedule, right? So how do you make your daily schedule? It's like 5 steps. First, you write down a list of every activity you want to do and need to do. So for me, it's like, okay, music practice, rapping practice, songwriting, music production, writing speeches and stories, exercising, spending time with my friends and my family, and spending time in nature. All these things that I want to do, right? So I write down everything I want to do. Second, I would categorize my activities into 2 groups. Regular tasks, which is like no matter what, you finish it every day, right? Like I have to do music practice every day. I have to do freestyle practice every day. Whereas, for example, something like maybe speech writing would be like dependent on, okay, do I have any events that I need to write speeches for? Or do I have any questions I need to prepare for an interview? So that would be like, those would be dependent activities, right?
Yeah, project.
And then those activities would have their deadlines. Then the third thing I would do is prioritize my activities. And I would differentiate between like must-dos and can-dos, right? So music practice is a must-do. Speech writing is a must-do. Things relating to your career, if you want to be successful, those are must-dos.
Yep.
Whereas, okay, I can live a few weeks or a few days without hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
That's okay. A lot of times we need to sacrifice in order to be successful. That's one of the main things. The problem is a lot of times we don't want to give up, right? But then we stretch ourselves thin, and that doesn't help either. We have to be committed. So, it's like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And yeah, so
but
the fourth thing is...
Let's get to, because when you talk about plans without that execution, without creating these non-negotiables, in all the years that I've known you set intentions, and then you created a plan, right? Whatever plan other people had for you, we would just put that and then go with what your plan is. And remember, one was like, perform in front of 1 billion people. There were so many things. I think you put the same process into writing songs, and I know that you've been writing songs and you've been doing extra things in lockdown. So I know you're going to want to share something, and we're going to get you to do that. But I remember you made a goal around going to college and study, and you're 18 now, and these things are all happening. So we're going to move into that in a second about, you realizing those goals and what's next coming. Because one of the most important things is, Sparsh, for those of us that serve and serve and serve, we're very good at giving, and sometimes we end not being as good as receiving. And I know you've got a lot better with that. And so where I want to move to in a second is, what are you now doing next in terms of for your own development, for all of the millions and billions of people that you're serving? You have so many initiatives that you're involved in. So I want to make sure that the people that are watching can support you, support the services and programs you're involved in. That's where I want to get to, because service leadership is what we are at our core. There are slingshots as well as the music and the speaking, all of those things.
Absolutely.
But I want to go, how are you doing with the music? What's the latest? What's on your heart right now? And then maybe let's give people something that I know they want anytime they hear from Sparsh, right?
Yeah, my music has, it's been getting a lot better, been training a lot more, especially with practice. And yeah, the next main goal is to put out an album. And as far, again, right, I still have to work on those plans for that.
Yep.
My hope is that maybe 2022, sometime in 2022, it'll be out. But that's the main initiative, because now, everybody knows me now through the Eminem covers, and they may know me through the speaking engagements and stuff like that. But, now I think it's high time for people to see who Sparsh is as a songwriter, who Sparsh is as a producer, as an artist, to hear the real story behind why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Yeah. So
and for
that's
those
the
people
next
that
main
are
goal
live,
for me.
Those people that are live with us now, please send Sparsh some love. And if you know that you want the same thing as me, you want Sparsh to share any of his latest songs or literally recent songs, make sure you start putting those in the comments. So Sparsh, what is, if I was to say to you, would you share one of your songs? Which one would pop to mind? And if you're willing, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. So amazingly, I was really blessed to be able to release my two debut singles during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the first one I had released last year on my birthday, and it's super special to me. I wrote it many years ago, but it when I had won the Young Voice of New York City competition, and I was crowned the youth ambassador for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And I wrote this song with the patients at St. Jude's in mind, but also keeping it universal, knowing that anybody could be really touched or sparked by the lyrics. And it's just an inspirational song for anyone who's going through any sort of struggle in life, to have the hope that, yeah, at the end of the day, there is always tomorrow. And that's what the song is called. There's
Let's do
always
it.
tomorrow.
Let's do it. Live and
Yeah.
exclusive on the Empowering Youth Show.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. Have you ever felt alone, or maybe not at home? Did you want to give up, 'cause maybe it was too much? Well, you might not have wings, but you can still fly and you can sing, because who you are doesn't matter, 'cause you're a superstar. There's always tomorrow, no need for the sorrow. We will make it if we can, come back from where we began. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Life's a mountain with steep and bumpy edges, and you have to push yourself all the way to the peak of the ledges. Well, you might not have wings, but you can still fly and you can sing, because who you are doesn't matter, 'cause you're a superstar. There's always tomorrow, no need for the sorrow. We will make it if we can, come back from where we began. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. So don't ever believe that what you have will go in vain. You can still follow your dreams, no matter how much the pain. There's always tomorrow, no need for the sorrow. We will make it if we can, come back from where we began. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Yeah, yeah.
Woo! There you have it. There you have it. Wow. Wow. If there was ever a song that reflected your life and the messages that you bring, wow. Wow. And may many, many millions and billions hear that song. So keep writing, keep serving. And that's a great segue into what's next. So what's happening now for Spark? Tell everyone about the goal about college and how that manifested, because for those that don't know, it's we have these conversations and you say I want to do something, and then in a year or two something happens. So please tell everybody the goal, the vision, the mission you had, and what's happened. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So yeah, again, right, the first TEDx dream that was to perform in front of 1 billion people, that was fulfilled twice. And the second dream that I had spoken on that stage in 2016 was that I want to study from Berklee College of Music online. And so it turns out it's kind of like, when you set an intention out there and you work towards it, it gets fulfilled. 4 years later, here I am. I graduated high school just yesterday.
Yes.
And in 9 more days, I'm going to be starting my first semester of courses at Berklee College of Music's online degree program, Berklee Online, majoring in interdisciplinary music studies, which basically means that within the requirements, I can basically learn whatever I want to, which gives me the freedom to develop a very round skill set that I would need to fulfill my artistic and entrepreneurial visions as a musician.
Yeah.
So it is an absolute blessing to be able to do that, in college. Of course, it's not going to be easy. Lots of hours I'm going to have to devote, and college, being with
Well, even
the expenses and
yeah,
all.
but on
But
that
we're
sparse, on
working
that
towards it.
yeah, on that part there with, I know a group of people got together and it was like, we know what it takes to have to do that and put that on the move. So I know a group, put together, your parents know it, put together a page where people could come and support you, and created a GoFundMe page where, because it's you taking your thing to the next level, but it's also about being open to receive, right? So I know the foundation team will be putting a link there where people can come and support you to really, really fly in that dream and that goal of, not just getting on to Berklee and doing that. It's like we know that you are going to probably be the greatest person that went on that program, right? So we'll put the links up there and so on, because it's really important that you get to receive in ways that will help you to carry on serving more, right? And we know that that's your gift. So we'll put that in there because, I know it's going to be tough, but like you said, in 9 days' time, you start, right? And I know you're excited about that and so on, but how do you feel about the whole thing? What's going through your mind? How are you feeling about that now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just feeling amazed. Like, honestly, just to think, right, just yesterday, we were all throwing our caps, in school, starting ending that high school chapter of life. And in 9 days, I'm about to start this totally new chapter in life that's going to forever change my career and my life. And so just thinking about that is mind-boggling, and it's like I just can't wait for the plans that are ahead of me that I know God has for me. And I know that this is the time for me to fulfill the vision that I've always wanted to fulfill, which is to serve others through music and through speaking and through even like on the ground service, which I've wanted to always do, and I've been trying doing my best to do as youth ambassador for quite a few organizations, and as raising
Let's talk about
funds.
some of those, because I know there's a lot of
Yeah,
organizations that you're serving and supporting, and not least, like, on our own youth leadership summit, you come and add so much value to people. I want you to share some
yeah,
of those organizations that you're working with, and what that means to you, because I'm putting a call out to people to make sure they come and support you. So everybody that's watching and listening, make sure you come and join Sparsh, support him with his journey. But now you'll realize that my mum always taught me help the helpers. And what it means is those of us that can help Sparsh, you're now about to hear the type of things that he gets to do and who he works with. So Sparsh, tell about some of the organizations that you've been helping, why they're important to you. Go for that. Let's hear about them.
yeah, absolutely. I've been, again, for a very long time, I've always believed that this has been one of my maxims, that the greatest leaders on earth are the servants of all. Right? So I've always felt like I want to be able to give back to the community in whatever way I can with this platform that I've been given. So I've done that in two ways, which are, again, first, raising funds for various nonprofits by singing at their events and speaking at their events and helping rally people to bring funds so that, these organizations can continue doing what they're doing. And so I've been able to, by the grace of God, help raise over $1.2 million in order to do that for these various charities. And I've also taken the next step further, and I've said, why not just not only use my voice once, but like actually commit and like partner with these organizations on a more personal level to spread the messages of these amazing organizations. So I've become the youth ambassador of many of them. So one of them, for example, that I've been working with a lot very recently is the Voice of Specially Abled People, or VOSAP. And this is an organization that is dedicated to being the change-making catalyst for the specially abled, right, in all parts of the world, but especially places where there's a lot of work to still be done to bring people who are differently able to the same social dignity and the same social accessibility that we have in countries like America. So one of the things that we recently did in December 2020 was we hosted the first annual gala online, international, for VOSAP, and it was also an awards ceremony because that summer, the summer of 2020, we held this art from heart contest where artists from all over the world, I think over 2,000 artists from 52 countries, submitted artwork engaging on the field on the topic of disability, either the experiences of people who are disabled or people, the visions that people have for inclusive societies. And it was an award ceremony for those top artists, and also the annual gala. We got to raise $200,000 on that day alone to help with some of the initiatives that we're doing. For example, especially now with COVID, one thing that we've been doing, volunteers on the ground in India, and I believe Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, and I think it was Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Those three main areas in India right now, what we're doing is we are distributing rations to as many people, differently abled people as possible, to help them, because a lot of them are unable to, they don't have the amenities or devices necessary to go out there and get essential items and take care of their families. Yeah. So we're giving them like months worth of food rations and giving them emergency like aid kits and stuff like that. So the things they need so that they can survive on the ground level. Other organizations that I've been working with are the New Jersey Institute of Disabilities, who I took preschool at one of their main schools that they teach at, Lakeview School. So I've been connected to them since like pretty much day one. Yeah. And what we do every year is we have this annual 5K run and walk. And since COVID, we've made this initiative digital. So now what we're doing is this summer, that when we're holding this, is we're having people, I made my own team. People create their own teams in these live events. And for virtually, I created a Team Sparsh. And so people can actually join that. I could send you the link later on. And basically, it's a race forum link. And when people join in, either they can, they'll join in as part of a team. They can just raise funds, donate on their own. And yeah, so that's another thing. And then another organization that I've been working with is Mission Possible. And this organization really is dedicated to helping people in any good cause in life. We worked with a lot of amazing organizations. Like we've worked with the LeBron James Foundation, the Billion Acts Foundation, and we've worked with Imagine Dragons, a lot of amazing things. And one of the other main initiatives that we're doing is anti-smoking and anti-vaping. And so one of the things that the founders of this organization did long ago was help create school curriculums and fun activities, like a whole card game, for example, that shows students and exposes them to the dangers of smoking and vaping. And one of the ways that I was blessed to help out this organization recently is I found out about this scholarship contest from the Centene Institute, where we had to give a message about anti-vaping. And whoever won in New Jersey, the thing was like, if we won, we could send these to any chosen charity, whatever we receive. So I was really blessed to receive third place for that. And with my message, I wrote a rap about, the dangers of vaping. And so I got to give that money over to the Mission Possible Foundation.
Yeah.
So that was one of the ways I was blessed to help them out. So that's basically. I don't mean to sound like I'm ranting, but
No,
this
but you
is
know what,
some of the
Sparsh?
stuff
This is
I've been
this is the
doing.
whole point. We could spend a whole hour talking about all the other places that you're supporting, and your life is blessed in abundance now of being able to use your
Truly,
platform. And I know, for me, the next journey for you and I is, I know when we finally be given the green light to travel and travel all the rest of it, when I come and see your family next, I know the next journey is making sure we create that Sparsh Shah Foundation, because you're already impacting
yeah,
so many. We need to make sure that you take it to that next level as well, because your legacy is
absolutely,
here, but you've got so much more to do. And so on that note,
absolutely.
it's like, what is next for you, and how can people carry on following your journey? We'll make sure we'll add links, because make sure people know what your main site is, what your main social media is, because I'm seeing messages pop up here from people from all over the world saying, "Thank you, Sparsh, just for learning today. I'm going to follow through my goals." So how do people stay in touch with you rather than just waiting for stuff to happen? Where's the best place for them to come and follow what's going on?
Yeah. I think really the best place to go is my website, which is www.sparshshah.com. So yeah, if you go to that website, you'll basically see everything. My social media is also there, but just in case you guys just want to go straight there, my
Yeah,
Facebook URL is www.facebook.com/pure rhythm, which is my stage name as a rapper,
yeah,
and it's spelled PURHYTHM. It's pure and rhythm fused together. So
there we
that's
go.
Facebook. My Instagram is at Shah Sparsh. Twitter is at Sparsh Pure Rhythm, right? I mean, honestly, all these links are there,
On the
but
site.
again, it's just another blessing that has really humbled me. If you look up my name
Yeah,
on Google, you should be able to find me.
that's
You
it.
definitely will see a
100%.
lot of links.
100%.
And again, right, the page that we were talking about, the GoFundMe page. Since you're asking about, again, long term goals, I want to, now that I've committed to Berkeley, that's one of the main things I want to do is I want to do a bachelor's, baccalaureate. I may even do a master's through Berkeley online. And so, of course, the GoFundMe page is to help raise funds for that so that we can continue with that and also at the same time prepare for the other goals, the album, the
Yeah,
world tours ahead. After I do my album, I want to go out on tours. I want to go meet all the people of the world in person and serve them personally.
yeah,
Singing tours, speaking tours, service. I just want to continue doing all that I'm doing and taking things to the next level. So,
there you go.
again, right, it's all the ultimate vision.
100%.
Sparsh the hearts of as many people as possible. Leave my track prints so deeply in the sand of legacy that not even the tsunami of time can erase them.
There you
And in
go.
doing so, do justice to the gift that God gave me, this gift of life, and leave this world better than I found it.
There you go. And you know what? That's the beautiful way to bring this episode to a close, because it's usually I say to people after I've done, I say, okay, you had the last words, but I think I'm just going to echo what you just said for everybody there. Sparsh leaving his track prints and being able to sparsh the world. And if you haven't already heard it, that means touch the world. And I know you've touched so many people.
Yep.
Long may you continue to be singing, writing, leaving those track prints, and continue serving. So it's been an honor, Sparsh. I know we connect regularly, but it's an opportunity for you to connect with my community. I connect with your community. And I'm going to wrap this up how I usually do. But one more time, if there's anything you want to say, go ahead and say it now, and then I'll wrap up this episode of the Empowering Youth Show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really have way too much to say other than, it's just as much the feeling is mutual. It's such an honor to be here with you, to speak with you. I mean, hearing about everything that you've done and you're doing is like absolutely amazing. And honestly, you're kind of like a role model to me of like service, living a life of service. And that is really what I want to do. I personally feel like that's the reason why I came here, why God gave me this voice and this gift, this assignment is really just to serve others.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
Yeah.
I hear you. And as a mentor, one of the most amazing things that you can ever experience as a mentor, and then even as parents, is when the person you're mentoring flies higher and wider than you, and then so it's very, very proud to see you doing that, Sparsh. So, okay, we're going to go and wrap this up. Let's, as we always do, everybody. You have Sparsh Shah there, and leave a comment, leave a message for him, whatever you want to do, and we're going to sign out. Sparsh will also be involved, as always, with our Youth Leadership Summits. There's all the sites, there's all the links for the Harry Singer Foundation, and any young person under the age of 19 that wants to join our virtual Youth Leadership Summit on the 28th, 29th of August 2021, the cost is zero. We're covering everything because so many young people are having that need to, as we're coming out of all this global challenges, and we don't want to put finances as a block to that. So we are going to sponsor the whole event. If people want to donate, they can. So that's not a block. Just go ahead and apply, because many, many more young people need to hear from the likes of Sparsh Shah and so many other amazing speakers, just to raise your energy. And like Sparsh says, let's find that slingshot and let's get you forward to where you want to be. So all the links are there. Thank you. And that has been another episode of the Harry Singer Foundation Empowering Youth Show. So I look forward to connecting with you on another one very soon.